What a beautiful morning we have this morning. It's around 6 a.m. There's still about 10 minutes to go before sunrise, but there's not a cloud in the sky. So sunrise here this morning was just a nothing, but I did get some beautiful photos just before sunrise, and I'll share just a couple here. Look at this, just amazing the light that I had. I had this mangrove tree that you can see there silhouetted, but I had beautiful golden light on the water in front of it. But this morning I wasn't here for sunrise. I want to show you something, and I'll talk about as we walk along here. Sometimes we go to a place and we walk around, we're saying like, there's nothing here. I'm walking and I'm walking and I'm looking, I can't find anything. Well, you know what? Sometimes what you're looking for is right below you, like this. Look at the wave pattern around here. This is so beautiful, and this is what we're going to do this morning. We're going to photograph like little patterns on the sand here, like wavelets, but not in this format, because as you can see, when we're photographing like this, it's a lot of emptiness. What we want to do is catch the eye of the person who is looking at our photo. And in this type of photography, portrait orientation in our camera is best, just like this. Doesn't this look better? Now we have leading lines, and we're going to set up the camera so that we just have a little bit above the horizon, because what we want is all of this. We want all of this here. Look at that. Now we're going to start with this frame here, but if I go too far this way, can you see like there's a lot of distraction at the back? So this looks quite nice. We're going to take a couple of photos here, and then we're going to move a little bit further along. Look at this beautiful leading lines, and sometimes we miss like the simplest things in life because we're looking too much at the horizon, too much at the big things in life, and the little things sometimes get put aside. Here, look at this. We walk on these. We're at the beach all the time. Have you ever thought about just photographing like the sand like this when they have wavelets? Well, this morning, this is what we're going to do. How's my camera set up? I'm shooting in aperture priority this morning, not in manual mode. I don't need manual mode because I want to keep things simple this morning. So aperture priority, my white balance is set to sunny. I like having a preset white balance because we're shooting JPEGs and RAW. The JPEGs you see during the video, and at the end, I'll just share the RAW files edited in Adobe Lightroom. You can see how low I am to the ground here. My tripod is only about 30 centimeters off the ground. Classic tripod pose. This camera isn't the lightest camera at all, so I've got the front leg here pointing down. It's going to stop anything falling over, and this is something you've got to be very careful about, especially when you've got your camera leaning forward like this. So aperture priority, I've set it f11. We're going to see some nice definition, but if you just wanted to highlight just the front here, you could really bring your aperture down, let's say to f2.8, and the background will be blurred. But I just want everything like this. It looks really nice. So remember, in aperture priority, we set the aperture or the f-stop. It will set our shutter speed for us. Now my Nikon D500 has a tendency of slightly overexposing, so I've used exposure compensation and brought it down to -0.3, just to make sure that I don't blow the highlights. And ISO 100. I've got the touchscreen on, take a nice photo. It's a 2-second timer delay, beautiful, look at that. I'm going to look at my histogram. I'm slightly underexposed, but that's good. I prefer having my image slightly underexposed than accidentally pushing and blowing the highlights, because there's no clouds in the sky there. The sky could easily be blown out. And look at this, we've got these beautiful light here, just golden colors. So now we're just going to turn our camera slightly to the right here, like so. Look at that. Now look at the way the camera is faced. See, this is something that you've got to be very mindful about when you're photographing. Look at the way the leading lines are going. I'll take a photo here. This looks nice, but can you notice that the wavelets, they're moving away from us? Unlike this photo here. See this one here, like it's just, we're driving down the road. This one here, they're all on an angle. We're starting from the bottom right, moving to the top left, but it's like everything's just moving to the side here. I don't know, do you prefer this one to the other one? I prefer the first one here, but I've had enough here. There's some better wavelets further down, so we're going to grab our gear and move further down. So we've moved. Now we've had two tides between the time I was here yesterday and now, and the wavelets have changed. I'll take a photo here. It looks really nice. Same settings, except our shutter speed now is 1/125th of a second. Beautiful. I like this. This is what I like. It's like going down the freeway, straight lines. And if I turn, my optimum would be slightly to my left here. But the problem is my tripod's in the way, so I can't turn to the left. Now let's look. If we turn to the right again, and look at this. This is what we're trying to achieve at the other spot. But the lines, we're cutting in too quickly to the left here. Now look, we've got starting from bottom right all the way to top left here. And they're just leading us on. It's like, let's go on a journey. Okay, we'll take another one. We're still at F11. Now this one here, I'm going to go down to F4 and I'm going to set my focus point right in front here, just in these little shells here, right down here. There, beautiful. Now let's take a look at the photo. Nice and sharp at the front here, eh? But as we're leading away, it's blurred out. This is the beauty of creative photography, and this is what we're doing here. We're having a bit of fun, but we're using creative photography to our advantage. F11, front to back. F4, just the front here. So it's like Mystique. What's in the background over there? I can't see it. The wavelets just taper off into a blur. And this is my point when I do these tutorials. I try to show you how to expand your photography knowledge by trying different shutter speeds, because in landscape we always say between F8 and F11, but sometimes front to back isn't right. So like here, I like this. At F4, it is so nice. I was zoomed in to 16 mils. Now we're going to zoom out to 11 mils and we'll take two photos, one at F4 and one at F11. And I'm going to choose the same focal point, which will be the shells here in front. So this one is F4, this one is F11. Beautiful. Now let's move on. So this is my last stop for the morning here. And the sand is very different. Instead of being that sort of goldeny color, it's like a muddy color. But I like the contrast here because look in front of me here. I've got very big wavelets on the left and tiny little wavelets on the right. If this was the other sand, the little tiny wavelets on the right here would just get lost. But with the grays here, it really highlights it. So we're going to shoot at F8. I don't want all the way into the background here. Remember I showed you like F4 to F11? I want quite a bit, but not as much as F11. Just to hedge my bets, I'm going to take one at F8 and one at F4. And I really like this composition here. So we're going to down at F8 first, shoot about a third of the way in. Beautiful. Now bring it down to F4. Beautiful. Now I've chosen this spot for two reasons. One, of this grey sand here, and two, can you see that we've got water between these ripples here and another sandbank, and then the riverbank on the far side of the river. It's split up and it looks really good. It's like layers. This is something that you have to think about. Like you're always thinking when you're taking photos, but stress less. I believe that sometimes your best photos come when you're relaxed and you're just looking at nature and you're like, oh, look at this. I hadn't seen it. So here are now my best photos of the morning. The JPEGs first and then the RAW files edited in Adobe Lightroom. So that's a wrap for this morning. As you can see, it's not rocket science. Sometimes instead of looking out and up, look down. And you might find some of the best compositions around just by looking down at your feet like we did this morning here, photographing these wavelets by the riverbank. If you found value in this video, give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Really helps me out. Stay safe, enjoy photography, and I'll see you next time.